Hey everybody, nice to see you again. I've got some HO scale stuff I'd like to share with you that I recently bought. So let's take a look. The first thing we'll be taking a look at is something I've wanted for years but never had the opportunity to get it, mostly due to financial reasons. But by the time I finally was able to afford it, they stopped making this. Well, to be fair, I mean, Bachmann still does the 262 Prairie, but not the variation I have here. I ordered this on eBay from a guy in the United Kingdom during an auction. Don't know why I was in the UK of all places, but I'm very happy I finally got her. And here she is, ladies and gentlemen, the Southern Pacific Prairie. Now you may be wondering, why did I want to get this used model as opposed to a new Prairie? Well, simple reason, you're actually looking at it right now. I've always liked Southern Pacific, like something about their steam engines and the Vanderbilt tenders always grabbed my interest. And to have this version, I just thought would be better than any of the other versions that Bachmann's currently making. I mean, there's a couple of good roads here and there, but I just had to go for this. I also considered getting a similar engine. There's currently a Baltimore Ohio 060, which does have a similar body as the Prairie. Basically what Bachmann did here is remove the pilot and trailing wheels, and basically the 060 looks exactly like this, and the Baltimore Ohio version they do has the exact same tender. Just something about a Prairie, though, I had to get, because how often do you see a steam engine with a 262 wheel arrangement? Now, a few days ago, I uploaded a video called Upcoming Content, where I explained how I was going to have a new controller, hopefully something more powerful than the Bachmann ones I've got. In fact, I already have it. It's from Walthers. Looks kind of similar to the Bachmann controllers I've got, but it says it can also be used to power O-scale trains, so with that in mind, I'm sure it should be powerful enough to make a bigger loop than what I have here. My plan was to have a loop going around the entirety of the N-scale table while having a yard set up over there. But for now, we're going to leave these two loops alone. We'll run our Prairie on this track here. In fact, I already have a freight train set up. It's not quite done yet, though. I've got 4 cars here so far, but there's 2 more that I want to add from this box here. I ordered 2 coil cars, basically flat cars with these containers that carry steel coils, which I'll show you right now. Here they are. And there's also a few other cars that we'll be taking a look at later, but for now I also wanted to show you this. I didn't ask for these, but I got 3 Bachmann stickers, a Bachmann pin. Maybe I ordered that, I don't remember. But something else they added here, which I think is really cool, a 10% discount. All I got to do is enter this code called Tank Car. It expires in a couple of weeks, so I better hurry up. Funny enough, I have actually considered using this to buy a tank car, so I'll make sure to do that later. Alright, the B&O car is out of its packaging. It's funny because the other 4 cars that I ordered are actually Baltimore and Ohio passenger cars. They're still in the box, though, so we'll save that for later. And another interesting thing I learned is that this actually does come with little steel coils, which are actually still in the packaging right here. I have to get those out, and then we can put them inside the containers. This is really cool. I mean, I feel like I'm watching one of those Lionel videos where you have, I think I'm doing it wrong. Maybe it's supposed to be like this. I'm sure I can look it up, too. I've seen a few videos where the steel coils are usually on sideways, but with the fact that that one coil I put on first was a little lopsided, I feel like they want you to do it like this, where you put them in on this end. But yeah, this kind of feels like something you would see in a Lionel video. You know, like you just need some kind of a factory building to have these little coils get loaded into the cars and probably get the containers on and off. I was a little worried. I mean, I took the containers off, but I felt like they were going to break. But you just got to make sure you use enough muscle and get them off, and they'll be fine. Last coil here, which we'll put right there. One of them is a little screwed up, but I'll double check on the internet to make sure I'm doing this right, and then we'll continue. Alright, so I double checked on the internet. I found a picture, and it turns out I was right. The coils do go in sideways like this. So we're going to put the containers back on, and then we'll work on our second coil car from BNSF. Then we'll get our Prairie ready to go. These containers came off easier than the first one. I don't know if it's me, or maybe they did something different with these cars, but let's get these coils loaded on. Putting them back on can be challenging as well. You want to make sure it's actually on secured without having them fly off when you go around a curve. But I think that is good. We're ready to get our Prairie onto the track and get her to pull this train. Okay, our Prairie is set up and ready to go. I did a couple of short runs having the locomotive go backwards and forwards to make sure it was running fine, and it seems to be okay. The only problem it had was that the tender derailed on the switch, but that was when it was running reverse. So I think we should be okay. Right now we're going to have this locomotive run backwards to collect our 6-car train. Alright, so it turns out it did derail on the switch while going forward. But all the wheels are back on. Let's try again. We'll run a few more laps with this train before moving on to the B&O passenger cars. Seems like it's derailed again. I checked the track, and it seems alright. Something might be wrong with the tender wheels. We'll see what happens when it goes around again. In fact, this time it derailed on the other back straight, on the other straightaway. I don't know why I said backstretch. This isn't NASCAR, but the track was curving. I mean, even if you have straightaway like this, there are some times when it can be a bit out of alignment and curve slightly to the right or left. I pushed it in and it should be fine now, but we're going to give our Prairie a break and start running a passenger train with those B&O passenger cars. Now, a while ago, I went to Joe's train station to get some repairs done to my Jade Green New York Central box car and two other things from New York Central, this AB set of F7s, along with my Baltimore Ohio Alco FA. Similar to the Prairie, I bought this used, but this was actually not from an auction. I straight up bought it from the buyer, and I've had it since, I think, April. I've had it for quite some time now, and I gotta say, I'm really happy to have this locomotive. Especially with the passenger cars that I'm going to be getting out of this box. Now, there's 4 here, but there's a 5th car that I bought a while ago while getting my FA off to the repairs. And it's actually right here. We'll be able to get this out of the box as well, and then we should have all 5 passenger cars ready to go. Alright, everything is ready to go. It's funny, I knew 3 of these cars would be exactly the same, but I wasn't expecting them to have the same name on here, Avondale. A little scary as well, but nevertheless, I think these look good with my observation car and the dining car. I'm going to move this back a little bit so you can see the dining car is actually at the front of the train, which I thought would be appropriate. Then you have the 3 basic passenger cars behind it, and our heavyweight observation car is bringing up the rear. It's also the only heavyweight car on the train. I was thinking of getting a lightweight one, like the 3 cars in the diner, but this was the only observation car I could get my hands on. I may get a second observation car. I mean, I know the Reading and Northern has many of them. And with that Baltimore Ohio 060 I mentioned earlier, if I do decide to get that, it would be cool to run 2 separate B&O trains. Or perhaps a mixed train. I mean, I've got that coil car I showed you earlier. I've got a B&O hopper car as well as a B&O caboose, which does have a lighted interior. But we'll focus on that later. Right now I'm going to have the FA back up and couple up to these 5 passenger cars, and then we'll do some laps. Something's wrong with the coupler on the dining car. I tried running it a few times and the coupler just doesn't want to stay attached to the rest of the train, like you can see here. No matter how much I straighten it out or no matter what I do, it just doesn't want to stay on. Like I even tried lifting it up like this. Well, it's kind of hard to do with a camera, but I tried lifting it up and then putting the coupler on like that, and yet it still comes undone with ease. It's kind of a shame too, because it looks good. All these cars have lighted interiors. I suppose I'll have to make another visit to Joe's train station and get that coupler fixed, but for now, I'm going to put it away in a siding. I had to move the JW Boker off the siding to make room for this car. Well, not quite there. I mean, we can at least pretend there's a switcher and move the cars like that. Now you can see the coupling for these two work fine. I remember talking about this a year ago with my New York Central F7s, but I like the way the light reflects off the floor. It's not as powerful as the F7s when you compare it with the headlight on the FA, but the passenger cars, that's a bit of a different story. We'll take a look at the train one more time as it does a run by through this curve from this angle, and then we'll do a overhead view. Or it could also be the camera I'm using too. I'm using my cell phone to film this, but when I was filming the F7s, that was done with my FDR-X3000, a tiny camera from Sony. If I were to have the X3000 down at a low angle shot like this, it would make the little train look like something you would see in real life. Like, that's how tiny the camera is. And that's that. Thank you very much for joining me in this video. I'm glad I got all those cars from Bachman. I'm glad that Joe's Train Station was able to fix my Alco FA for me. If you're ever in the Hatboro area of Pennsylvania, I highly recommend checking them out. They got a lot of good stuff for sale. And I'm going to have to go back there myself, because like I said, that coupler on the dining car does need to be looked at, and maybe it could be fixed. The fact that it uncoupled itself with ease from the rest of the train is definitely not good, and that's definitely not something that should be happening. But I want to thank you guys again for joining me in this video, and I hope to see you again next time.